Like, that's all I had. It had to work. I didn't have a plan B. Like, I didn't even know how to sell real estate. I didn't know, I didn't know nobody. I just knew this was my plan for me because I have nothing else to fall on.
Welcome back to another episode of the Traffic, Sales, and Profit Show. I'm your host, Lamar Tyler. And guess what? We're here again to talk about two things, right? Business and wealth. And today we're focusing on that wealth piece. And when we talk about wealth, always share that, hey, you can make money, but what do you do with the money that you make so that you can preserve it, so that you can build it up and then transfer it down? One of my favorite ways to do that is through real estate. And I got a good one for you today. Today I'm joined by Terrica Lynn Smith, real estate developer and guru. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm excited to have you here. We got connected with my man Neo. Shout out to Neo.
Shout out to my brother.
Neo's like, listen, I got somebody you got to have on. When Neo told me that, I didn't ask no questions. I was like, this is the date we're doing it. Let me know if she can make it. And I was going through your backstory, which is amazing. Right. So before we even get to the real estate part, let's talk a little bit about you, because I think it's just so motivational that you've been able to achieve what you've achieved in life.
Right.
So like, can we talk a little about your story? Why don't you tell people?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think a lot of people see the success now and don't really know where it started from. So I'm excited that you did ask that because a lot of the times, what I've accomplished now seems out of reach. But if you know where I started, then obviously, I believe anybody can have wealth in real estate. It's super easy. And it's actually one of the easiest industries to get into. But I grew up with a mother who was on drugs, a father that was on drugs. My mother was a very strong addict, to the point where when I was 5 years old, she sold me to a drug dealer amongst me and my siblings. And so obviously that created a rebellious child, someone who was very angry. And so I eventually ended up in foster care. And I spent most of my childhood in foster care. And so I would run away from different group homes and, I eventually ended up traveling on the road at 16 years old as a minor, selling magazines from state to state. So, I had been to over 40 states by the time I was 17 years old. I really didn't even, I just traveled because I wanted to get away from everything that I was going through. I got pregnant at 16, ended back up in New Orleans, and I had my son, and then I was homeless. And so we lived up under a bridge for a day. And for me, that was one of the lowest moments of my life, because up until that point, I tell people I had a right to be angry. Like I had a right, to feel how I felt. I had a right to do whatever it was that I was doing at that point. I had that right. And so, when I looked down at my son, I realized he didn't have that right. Like this was going to be a fresh start for him. And I had to choose what type of mother I was going to be for him. And, I made him a promise that as long as I had air in my lungs, we're going to get from under this bridge. He's not going to experience poverty anymore. He's not going to know what hunger feels like. Like he's going to live a good life. He's going to live the life that I wish was given to me. And so, I ended up getting pregnant again at 19. And then right after that, Hurricane Katrina passed. And then we got relocated to a city called Lafayette, Louisiana. I think for me, during the time we was trapped in New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina, because we didn't evacuate. We were some of the people that stayed because we were poor. We didn't have money. They're like, why people stayed? Well, we didn't have no money.
They have option, right?
Yeah, what you think we're gonna do? Most people ride the bus. So they like, why you getting in the car and drive? We didn't have one. Come on, cut that out. And so, for me, I hated that moment. I hated not being able to provide, for my children. At that time, 19, I got 2 kids, And so when I got to Lafayette, I immediately went to work. I said, I'm not going to rely on the government no more. I'm not going to be on welfare and food stamps. Like, I don't want no more handouts. Like, I want my kids to have a better life than what they given us and are choosing to give us. And so that's when I got started in real estate in 2006.
I love that story for multiple reasons, but like the part about your children, I feel like children force you to go higher
Yes.
into another level many times. Like, even if it's like, I won't do this for myself.
Yeah.
But you like, my kids?
Yeah.
Like, nah, you know, like I'm gonna make sure they straight.
Right.
And I love how you said, like, at that moment, it wasn't even about you.
Mm-mm.
It's like him, right? Like,
That's right.
nah, he's not gonna be in this situation.
Right.
So I'm gonna do what I gotta do so that he's not in this situation
Right.
going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was huge for me. Like, a lot of people like, what was the light bulb? Like my mentor was homelessness. Period. That was my mentor. Mentors are meant to motivate you, encourage you and inspire you. And I was inspired not to be homeless. I was encouraged not to live up under that bridge and remain around, other individuals, unfortunately, who've been there for years and years at a time. I knew that I never, ever, ever wanted to experience that again with my family. And so that was like a big changing point in my life.
That's nice. I'm so glad we started with that story, because what I often see from entrepreneurs, from people as, trying to build wealth or create wealth, is like you said, a lot of times they'll see where somebody's at now.
Yeah.
And they use that to make excuses too.
Yeah.
And they make the crazy assumption that, oh, this person made it here, so it must have been easy. Somebody must have gave them a hookup. Somebody, they came from a family with money, like all these different things. And when I tell them, many times is that the people that made it to the heights that you want to be at, they face the same struggles and the hardships you do. Most time the difference is how they actually act when those hardships come.
That's right.
And just because you're there don't mean that hard times stop coming.
That's right.
Right? Like
Yep.
You still faced with issues and challenges and
Absolutely.
stuff. But it's just about how you deal with, like, I find the people at the top like yourself, just got a tenacity
Yes.
to deal with them
Yeah.
and how they roll through it. And with Travis the Prophet, we always say, reasons sound like excuses to winners.
Oh,
Because
that's
them
so good.
reasons, the reasons got to go. So
That's right.
I love we started with this.
Oh, I like that. We need to write that down. I like that a lot. Yes. Ooh.
So you say, all right, you find real estate. How did you first get started in real estate?
So that's such a great question. So first of all, let me back up just a little bit. So when I said I traveled from state to state selling magazines, I would ask these people when I pull up, when I say pull up, when I walk up to their mansion, knock on their door, hey, my name's Terrica, I'm with American Sales, blah, blah, blah. And then, I'm like, you live in this big old beautiful home. What is it that you do for a living? And they'd be like, oh, we're in real estate. Not knowing that was seeds being planted inside of me. Mind you, I thought real estate was a house. I did not know real estate was dirt. Okay, so I was one of the naive individuals who really didn't understand real estate. So just imagine thinking real estate is buildings and houses, and that is not even real estate, right? So by the time Hurricane Katrina came and I got to Lafayette, Louisiana, I went to real estate school. I knew nothing of what these people was talking about. I mean, it was a foreign language. And so because nobody in my community talked like this. Everybody who I grew up with, all the foster people that I was raised by, all like the group home staff, none of these people talked about ownership. So I had no vocabulary of what ownership looked like. I had no vocabulary of what real estate terms was. So I'm sitting in class and the guy was like, the mortgage is going to be this. And I'm like, what the heck is a mortgage? I'd never heard of this word before, right? Then he started talking about liens and judgments and encroachments and encumbrances. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I felt like I went to like a whole, like this super smart academy of something, And so I was the one in class raising my hand. I'm sorry, can you tell me what a mortgage is? And people literally would look at me and be like, what's wrong with her? But I just didn't know, And so eventually.
But you asked though, because most people don't ask. Most people sit there like, I don't know what that is, but I don't want to look. I don't want to feel a certain way.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I was so poor, I didn't care what people thought because I knew I was poor. Like I knew this had to work or it had to work. So I had I'm sitting I'm sitting there and I'm like, if I don't know this, I'm still not going to know it if I don't ask. And everybody is nodding their heads like this. And I'm like a deer in headlights, like, yo, am I the only one like that need this class, right? So eventually, I finished real estate school. I go to take the exam. Bro, I failed that thing 7 times. I could not pass that test. I'm like, it's an hour drive. Mind you, I had to sell my food stamps. Okay, like that's old now. They can't come back and get me. But You know what I'm saying? But I had some of my food stamps, you know? So imagine if I'm getting $100, I'm selling $200 to $300 worth of food stamps for that $100. I'm driving an hour to take the test and I'm riding back as a failure. You know how hard that is to keep going? And then after the third time, everybody like, you need to find something else to do. Like, stop torturing yourself. Stop putting yourself through that.
So what was it that made you not give up when the naysayers around you and everything?
My promise to my son. Like, that's all I had. It had to work. I didn't have a plan B. Like, I didn't even know how to sell real estate. I didn't know, like, I didn't know nobody. I just knew this was my plan for me because I have nothing else to fall on. Like, yo, I ain't that deep. I tell people all the time, I'm not that deep. So if I can manage to get a 70% on the classroom test, surely I can go and take this real estate exam and get a 70. Nobody gonna ask me what I made on my real estate test when they go to invest with me. Never.
Ever.
I never got that one time. You get what I'm saying? So I just was like, I just kept on doing it. It was like I had nothing to lose at this point other than my food stamps. That's it. You know, and at that moment, I needed those food stamps. I only had two kids at that time. That's not a lot of yams that they give you. Yams is food stamps for those who don't know. Just so in case y'all trying to check my record. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't have like a lot to give like that. But I was willing to be all in on myself because I knew what I was already living in. I knew where I was. So if I stayed here, I already knew the results. But what happens more if I just push a little bit further? What happens? And that's what I did. I remember I passed that test. I'm like, I'm about to be rich. Like, I just knew I was about to be rich, right? And I made $5,000 the first year. And I'm like, what the heck? I could have made more money than this at McDonald's in real estate, you know? And I realized everybody was doing the same thing. And I've always been a great observer. I'll stand at the back of the room and pay attention and be quiet and nobody know who I am. But I done got all of the information that I need inside of a room. I always check out a room when I walk into it, right? And so I remember, you know, watching all the realtors going after the buyers, going after sellers. Like, I mean, they're ripping each other's heads off trying to get these for sale by owners and stuff. And I was like, what if I work with the people that got the gas stations and the grocery stores? What if I work with investors? And so I created my own niche in real estate where I literally just focused on investors because everybody wasn't focused on that. And because one rich person knows another rich person that knows another rich person, if I did a good job by this one person and I worked for free, I needed that money. You know, like on Set It Up, I need that money. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't no easy task to be like, yo, I'm going to work for you for free. Like, I'm at home eating ramen noodles, but I'm working for free. But that's how all in I was on myself. I knew if I did this chance and opportunity, he would be like, yo, I got to put her on. Like, that's the right thing to do. And I did. And so he told his rich friend, the next rich friend, the next rich friend. Before you look up, I had over 100 investors. It was easy then at that point. But I had to build it up to that point. Another thing is after how I found those investors, I went back to my roots because I didn't know, like, I wasn't calling investors, like I didn't know where they were.
Yeah.
So I went back to my roots. I started door knocking. So because I was door knocking as a teenager, agents turned their nose up at it. But for me, it was second nature. I enjoyed going to knock on the door because I would work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m, knocking on doors, selling magazines. So surely if I can sell magazines, I can go ask somebody to go make them some money.
You know, a common thread we've had on the show is so many people that had jobs when they were younger that built their sales chops, right? Like, you know, we had a guest that was like, I worked in a call center and I had to call people all during the day. So that built up, you know, my ability to overcome the no.
Yeah.
Like, no is all I heard all day. Like,
that's right.
It's nothing for you to tell me no, right? Because I got 300 more people to call after that. I had a guy, and me and him talked about how we both sold Cutco knives, and we would go to people's houses.
That's a hard
sell steak knives. And he was talking about, he was selling them like up in the projects of the Bronx or something. He like, I'm going in the projects of the Bronx trying to sell $500 knife set. But all of these moments, I love it because all of these moments build you, right? It's like
Yes.
everything in life gets you to the point you're at.
That's right.
And like that's like one of the main takeaways I want people to get from this, even this episode so far, is that the stuff you've been through in life, the things that you've done, the different jobs, the careers, no matter what it is, has made you, right, the person that's the perfect person to do the perfect thing at the perfect time.
I call it street strong. Like, I'm street strong. Like, anytime somebody try to break me, I'm like, yo, they don't know I'm from the streets. Like, if I can deal with anything, like if I can deal with, the communities that I grew up in, I can deal with anybody in the suit. I always look at it like that. So I rock it.
I love it. I mean, you got my mind going. I think in our communities, I think we've gotten soft. And what, like the conversation I frequently have is, nowadays we on Instagram, we on TikTok, and we talking about we working hard. And I'm like, you go back 2-3 generations to our grandparents, like that's working hard.
That's working hard.
I'm talking about like outside, most likely in the sun, because that's the only jobs they was even giving us. If you could get a job. But we gonna complain about we working too hard on the internet. Like you talk about like, door knocking from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., but somebody can't send out some emails.
Yeah.
All right, you trying to get me started. Let me get back to the story. All right, so you pass the test. The first year you do 5K. The next year you rich?
No, I'm not rich, but I'm the top agent in the office, right?
Okay.
Like I win all the Century 21 awards. Like I'm the rookie of the year. Like I'm everything. Like
by focusing on the investors.
By focusing on the investors and going back to my roots of door knocking. Absolutely.
And everybody else probably like, what the heck are you doing?
Oh, they couldn't believe I came. I came in like a wrecking ball. Like I didn't care who was in my way. Because the crazy thing is this. I asked for help. Like I asked for help. But because people were so greedy and they felt like it wasn't enough to share, it was either fold her or move her. Like she's not gonna last if she's expecting to get help from people in this office, right? And so when I came back, I was unapologetic about it. Like I was like, my work, spoke for itself. It got to the point where I was doing so much volume. When I walked in the room, I didn't need an introduction. Like, and for me, that was big because of the simple fact, people don't know what I've been through at this point in time. I've never shared my story up until 2018. I've been in real estate since 2006. So they just think, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I don't know what they thinking. You get what I'm saying? So now at this point, it's like, yo, this a person, if that person would have helped me along the way, I guarantee you right now, they'll be in a much different position. But I look back at all those same agents who crapped on me and they not even in the business no more. They're not even doing what I'm doing right now. You get what I'm saying? Yep. And so I find that if I would have allowed them to fold me, thank God I'm street strong, right? Like they in a, they're in a fancy dress. They can't fold me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So because of that, I was able to work harder than them. I was able to do what they wasn't willing to do. I was able to give the time that they didn't have. And that separated me from everybody in the office. And then they start coming to me like, yo, what you doing? What you doing? I'm grinding.
But I bet you they still probably weren't willing to do, even what you told them, most people still not going to be willing to do what you do, even if you gave them the whole blueprint.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. They want the money, right? They want to make all the money that you're making, but they don't want to put in all the work that you have to. So what they didn't realize was could do something one time. I had to do it 3 times. I wasn't known, right? In the community I'm in, like it's Boudreaux's, Thibodeau's, all of these popular family names. Okay. I'm just Terrica.
And generational names.
You know what I'm saying? They got freaking street signs after them, Ambassador Catherine, Khali Saloons. These are all rich families in our community. You see what I'm saying? The Bill Lords, like all of these super rich families that's been owning the real estate in this area for ages. And you think they about to just be like, come on, you sweet little girl, and come. At this time, I was, in my 20s, early 20s, so I was very young in real estate. You think they about to do that? No, they grandchildren graduating right now. They grandchildren about to do that. So I had to, like I said, I had to come in like a wrecking ball, and I was unapologetic about it.
So at what point did you move from, okay, I'm on the agent side
That's
to
a good question. I
want to slide to
remember the exact
I want to
day.
slide to the, tell me about that.
Oh, I remember the exact day. Okay, I was sitting at a real estate closing. Now, mind you, at this point, my investors have me doing everything. I'm working hard labor, okay? I'm finding the deal. I'm renovating the deal. I'm doing all of my guys are doing all the construction. I'm choosing all the colors, the designs, the staging. Then I got to find a buyer. Then I got, you know what I'm saying? And I was okay because I didn't know no different. I'm like, yo, I'm in charge of all of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they still paying me my 3% realtor fee. I'm still making the same money I would if I would have just sold them the house and walk away. So we sitting at the table, right? And I'm all excited for my investor. I'm like, you happy, huh? He like, yeah, I'm happy. It never registered what I made him. So at the closing table, the attorney gave us our folders and I opened it. And I'll never forget. I saw that check he got. And I said, what the heck? And the attorney did this. This was the slap in the face. He hurried up and closed the folders and said, oh, you have the wrong folder, and gave me mine. That's like sitting in economy. They closed the curtain for first class. And you like, what first class doing up there? What they giving them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I felt at that moment. And I said, oh, they messed up. Because I can't unsee what I seen. Yeah. So then I called all my investors and I said, hey, I really appreciate everything y'all doing for me. Y'all rocking with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they knew I came from Hurricane Katrina. So, it was like they felt like they was doing a good charity is what I felt like at the time. Yeah. I said, but moving forward, I want 50% of the profit.
What was their reaction?
They said, why would we give you 50%? I said, because I'm doing 50% of the work. Yeah. I said, in actuality, truth be told, I'm doing 100% of the work. I'm finding the deal. I'm doing the work in the deal. I got to sell it. I got to make sure it's profitable. And I'm giving you the check and all you giving me is 3%. They said, oh, no, we can't do that. I had one investor remain. I had over 100 investors. I had one stay with me and say, you know what? That time that I'm going to get from what you're doing, it's worth it to me.
It's worth it, yeah.
And he stayed. And when I tell you that year he stayed with me, we did 10 flips back to back. Boom, boom, boom. He making money hand over fist. I'm making money hand over fist. And guess what happens? He started telling his people what we doing. So when they come to me now, they know you got to give me 50% of the deal.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning. Very beginning.
I love it. So, oh, this is so good. So I got so many questions. So as you're going and then you make the flip. So now you in partnership.
That's right.
Right. And you're talking about doing all the work. I want to peel off for a second because I saw a video online where you were talking about your team and building up a team, right? And I'm sure like you learned a lot of lessons. Oh. The good, the bad, the ugly in building a team. But I want to talk about that for because we got a lot of entrepreneurs that watch and we always talk about team. Yeah. We talk about wealth, right? You need a money team. We talk about real estate. Like you need like the team thing is prevalent to success. Like what's some of the things you learned about building a team? Hey, if you're listening, I want you to think about this. Our community needs you. So if I need you to grow your business, it's only one way for you to do it and make it happen, and that is with TSP Propel. TSP Propel is like Netflix for Black entrepreneurs. It's a go-at-your-own pace, self-study system of over 50 plus courses. In addition, we give you resources and templates to execute faster. And we're going to do monthly calls with my coaches to make sure you get everything you need and get your questions answered. For more information, visit www.tspropel.com.
I would say the biggest thing I learned is everybody don't operate like me. And I am not okay with that. Like people be like, you should be okay with understanding everybody's not going to operate like you. I'm not. Like that is not something I can be okay with because I operate at a level of excellence. I operate at a level of execution. I know I'm going to get the job done. You pass me the ball, we're going to get the touchdown, period. Okay, I'm Michael Thomas in this joint when he healed, straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm dependable. And so all I ask of my team is to be that with me, because that's what they expect. If I don't cut a check, they ain't rocking with me. You get what I'm saying? So because you on my team, you have to understand the level of execution that we work at. Nehemiah made a post that said, I'm not working with nobody average this year. That's in my phone. It's a reminder. I just told my assistant, I'm being honest with you. I'm like, yo, I don't know how much you gonna last. How much longer you gonna last? I work at a different pace than you. She been with me for a few years now. You know what I'm saying? It's either you growing or you staying complacent.
Right.
But we can't stay in the same place because I don't know how to stay in the same place. Right. I'm on the road to 1 billion. If you on the road to 1,000, we're on 2 different roads. But you've been with me too long not to be on the road to 1 billion. You see what I'm saying? And so for me, when I'm focused on my team, I'm looking at my contractors. They have to work how I work. Show up every day. I don't care about, I'm not trying to be funny. I don't care about your family right now. Like when it's time to talk about your family, we talk about your family. But when we're at the job site, we working. My architect, don't give me no excuses on why I need to give you an advancement today. That's a conversation I had this morning, right, D? Like, it was an honest conversation. I'm not giving you no advancement. Our contract says this, so we're going to remain here.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? And so I think when you're building your team, I don't think we should get lost in the cliche of everybody don't operate like us. I'm not going to get lost in that, because I'll tell you this. If you okay with people being lazy on your team, then you're going to be okay. You should be okay with the work that they're going to give with it.
And most of the time, I would say, if you're okay with that, you're probably not an A player.
That's right.
Because A players don't tolerate C players.
No, not at all.
I love one of our core values. You got it on the wall right here, right off the set. Is we strive for excellence.
That's it.
Like you said, like excellence being like a core piece.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think people are familiar with mediocrity. Like they accustomed, like the world is just mediocre.
Yes.
So most companies are mediocre.
Yes.
Right? Like most like in real estate, most contractors that come, mediocre as a mug, right? It's like like so all this so good. I tell people all the time, it ain't hard to stand out. Because like the bar in most things is so low.
That's right.
That if you just hold yourself to that standard you're talking about,
yes,
you will outshine everybody else and be cream of the crop. It ain't even that hard.
Let me tell you something. You're so right about that, Lamar. Like my videographer, I've been through so many crummy ones that when he show up, he already doing what I don't have to ask. That's my love language. You know what I'm saying? Like do something I don't have to ask.
One less thing to think about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so he comes in and he gets straight to it. So now he's at a pedestal. I'm giving him more work than he can possibly ever have. I'm probably about to retire him from his job and bring him with me forever. Like, you get what I'm saying? Because of his execution. So you're so correct when you say the bar is so low that to stand out, you know what I'm saying? Let somebody come in here and be like, yo, I got all your appointments booked. I have boom, 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 boom. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, you like say less.
Say less. Like say less.
All right, so this is so good. So you got to the other side of the table. Now you're partnering with investors. And you're primarily doing flips, it sounds like.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
Okay, at that time. Like what happens after that? Like what's the next stage of evolution for you in real estate?
I didn't know how to keep the money. All that money I was making hand over fist, fast as it was coming in, it was going out. I was acting like, I'm, probably a juvenile term. I'm acting like a female that never had nothing. Okay. Soon as the money come in, I go buy something. Soon, you know what I'm saying? I'm eating steak, lobster. I mean, we living our best life.
Let me ask you a question. At the time, were you under the impression that the market, however it was, then would always be that way? Because I'm curious. 'Cause I know sometimes when people get into stuff and they first get into it and it's rolling, like they don't realize that it's cycles. You know what I'm saying? Like, were you aware that, hey, it's a cycle and things may slow down later?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you, I had no knowledge other than how to make money. That's all I had. And so what happens is with that mindset, you're not focused on growing that money. You're just focused on making.
Yes.
So if you just focus on making, you don't know how to retain and grow. And I didn't. And so what happened was it was like, it got to the point where me and my husband is now driving to 10 payday loan companies. And, we look down and we have nothing to show for it. And I'm like, yo, this is not right. How can we be poorer than this in New Orleans and be okay. And now we're making way more money and we still don't have money. How is that? Most people ask for raises and still don't see money.
Correct.
That is a money problem. Money is not attracted to you. It's leaving you. Your relationship with money sucks. And so what happens is you got to say, how can money become more attracted to me? How can I attract more of it? And then that's what I was thinking about. Like, how can I keep more of this? So then I was like, okay, I had one investor who would buy properties and he would keep them. And so I took my tax return at this point, $5,000, and I used it to buy my first rental property. I told you I had 10 payday loans. I needed that money, okay, to go pay those people off. I could have clearly went and paid off all my payday loans, been out of debt. But I chose to remain in that debt and to go and do this. And so then I got my $3,000 real estate commission check that I made on a deal, and I was into that property for $8,000. I said, okay, I'm going to use this money to go and invest in more money. That's what my plan was, right? Mm-hmm. That house almost cost me and my husband to get a divorce. One, we're not contractors, right? But I couldn't afford contractors. I couldn't afford anything with $8,000 all in, right? So we did it ourselves. And, I took that property to my banker. I had a horrible credit score. I didn't even know how to clean up a credit score. But because I had so many investors, my banker said, you know what, we're going to take a chance on you. So my credit score is 550, but they still took a chance on me. They shouldn't have gave me no money. But because I sent so many people to their bank, I didn't even know relationships like that existed. My banker opened my eyes to a relationship like that. And so he sent an appraisal out. They appraised the property for $60,000. My banker said, okay, we got a $60,000 appraisal back off of an $8,000 investment. Yeah. So they're going to give me $48,000, right? Which is 80% of the value. I'm like, is this easy to make this kind of money? Mind you, I never had this large amount of money before. But then the enemy kicks in. Oh, you can go buy this. You can go buy that. You ain't never had $48,000. It's on me what I do with it at this point in time. But mind you, I told you, I said I had to do something different. So if I would have went shopping, I would have went and bought that purse. I would have went and, bought all this furniture in my house that we needed, obviously, right? I would probably not be sitting here talking to you today. But I took that money and I went and I bought more real estate because $48,000 gives me $250,000 in real estate investing money. So I was very...
Explain that to the people if they don't understand.
Yes, no, that's a great point. So what happens is the bank have what's called the 80-20 rule, right? They'll give you 80% of any loan amount. You just got to come with 20% as an investor, okay? So if a building costs, let's just say, $225,000, you have to put down 20% of that. And 20% of that is roughly around $40,000. So you can buy about that much in real estate and the bank will fund the rest, the 80% of it.
I love it. I just want to break that down. Yes. A lot of people think for me to get this $300,000 duplex, I got to have $300,000. And that is not the case.
That is not the case. You do not need that, right? And another cool thing is for those of you who be like, well, I don't have 20%. I would say if you have 5 people around you and y'all can split that, then split it. Get into the deal any way possible by any means possible. Like I always tell people, we do what we want to do. Like, if that makes sense.
Talk to them.
Yes, we do what we want to do. I find if we want to get into something, we're going to find a way. If you want a man, you're going to find a man. Like, straight up. I don't care what nobody's saying. I don't care what no single woman say. If she want a man, she will go and find it. It's the same with money. If you want money, you'll go find it. But we haven't been taught how to go find money.
Right.
And that's why your show is so important, right? It teaches people how to go find that money. It teaches people how to build that money. Most importantly, teach them how to retain that money and, monetize it. And so I think that was very important for me understanding that. And then, from there, after I invested that, I kept doing the same approach and I kept my head down. And so people look at me now and they be like, yo, T, I want to get rich in real estate. I'm like, yo, I've been in this 18 years. Like, I didn't just wake up one day and be like, I've been through 2 recessions. How many recessions have you been through? Like, this is an industry where you have to put in the work. This is delayed gratification, not instant gratification. And so once you understand that concept, you're going to be in a much better position with investing in real estate.
So I wanted to hit a few things you talked about, because it was a lot of nuggets, right? We got a lot of nuggets in those pieces. When you talked about getting like the 48K from the bank, I thought that was vital because, like you said, it was a lot of other things you could have done.
Ooh,
and I feel like
bills,
feel like the world loves to celebrate people do the other things with that money, right? A lot of times, right? Because it's easy to be like, oh man, I can get my dream car. I can get my this, I can get my that. Instead of reinvesting that money back into something, right? This gonna be a better play down the line. When the car broke down, when the clothes out of style, like all of the things, right? But you still like collecting rent.
That's right.
On that property you invested in. So I love that, and I felt that was major. And just the other piece of what you're saying, like even with the banking relationships, I love what people like you are doing, because when you share your story, it illuminates like what people even know is possible. And that's what us, this building that we in, like we own the building. But we got jerked around so much when we said we wanted to buy a building, and it was all just because we didn't know nothing. And what I find oftentimes too, between us not knowing anything, just because a lot of us haven't been in a situation before. And then like we got like a parent or grandparent, they can be like, when I bought the building, this would, because they ain't bought no building either, right?
That's right.
But we don't know. And then what I find on top of that is specifically like with Black folks, when we going into like banks and financial institutions a lot of times, we feel like they doing stuff wrong, but we can't prove it because we just ain't never been in the situation, right? And if we're not educated, we can't be like, well, hold up, I got the credit, I got the capital, collateral, whatever, right? Like, I shouldn't have to sign this. I shouldn't have to show you this. I shouldn't, it should be easy for me to get this money.
Right.
But we just need more people like you doing what you're doing and sharing the story where they know, you know what, like, I seen Terrica talk about this. I know it's possible.
Right.
And then knowing it's possible is something that may encourage somebody to say, you know what, these people say no, but I know I got enough to do it.
Yes.
So I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to go to the next person, and keep moving.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So, now you're reinvesting, you got rentals. Now like you've done a lot of transactions in a lot of different properties over the years.
Yes.
What would you say is your sweet spot? Right? Because I saw you done rentals, I saw you done development. I saw you run crowdfunding, invest like what would you say is your sweet spot and the thing you love to do the most?
That's such a great question. I would say my sweet spot is going to be in the multifamily, flipping large units and getting an equity place. I think that you can make millions and millions and millions of dollars at a time versus a few $100,000. And so, transitioning more into those larger, like me and Dee was just talking about in the car, like, we're not a hedge fund yet. YET. Right. And so, getting more into the larger A and B class of investments is going to be a big priority. And obviously we love developing. We love, building new construction. We're going to be building a 50-unit apartment complex at some point in time this year, hopefully in quad 3. And so I just think that it's important, again, for us to focus on, the actual equity plays that we have in some of these deals. Obviously, the monthly cash flow, I told Dee this also in the car before we walked up here, that's important to me right now. Like, what I'm saying? Like, if we're going to make $20K a month on this, I want it to be net. Like, I don't want it to be gross. You know what I'm saying? So constantly buying income through those avenues is extremely important.
I love it. I love it. If somebody's watching and they want to get started and they're saying like, this is great. And I tell them like real estate, I think it's only like, it's one of two things, like real estate and like buying and selling businesses. I tell people you can read forever and still never do a deal.
That's right.
That's the only thing.
So
I've learned so much by reading stuff. I learned like so much by reading stuff.
Yeah.
But reading ain't helped me with real estate, nothing. It's like I was reading and doing courses forever.
Yeah.
But like you said, like sometimes you just gotta get, I love how you
Yeah.
said, like, hey, you know, you got friends and family that get together.
Yeah.
Like when we got into our first deal, good, bad, we didn't get rich from it.
Yeah.
But we got like a wealth of information and knowledge, right? And like
Right.
we learned so much.
Right.
And then once we was in, we had relationships. Once we was in,
Mhm.
you know, like the property was marginal, but
Mhm.
it's like the seller's agent was like, I got 2 more going up on the same street
Mhm.
next week. Let's go look at it.
Mhm.
Our lender was like, you got 2 more properties, send them to me on Monday. But like none of it happened if we don't get the first deal, right?
Right.
Like if somebody's like just sitting on the fence and not moving forward, what would you tell them, you know, on moving forward to get that first deal?
Thank you for giving me your money that you're saving. Because the bank is loaning out your money, right? And you sitting there and you like, yo, I'm scared to make a play. Thank you very much for your investment into my legacy, you know. And I hope that make you say, ouch, because at the end of the day, you can be doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. I'm no different than anybody in this room. You know, the only thing that I can say I did different was execute it. Like that's what I did. I executed on the game plan, you know, and that is what banks are for. That is what OPM, other people's money, is for, is to be able to leverage it into lucrative investments that, you know, make great returns for the investors and for yourself as well. Banks are investors. And the other thing is this, everybody is an investor. You just not receiving a return on your investment. And I tell everybody that. Like, you can't tell me you're not an investor. Did you pay for toll? Have you paid for parking? If the answer is yes, you're an investor. You just didn't get a return on your investment. But the person who put that meter on the street, the person who is building that bridge and you got to pay for that tollway, they're receiving the return on their investment, right? Through bonds or whatever the case may be. You are an investor. You just got to choose which side you're going to get the investment on. That's so important.
That's good. That reminds me, like one of the catalysts for us getting this building for our business was going to a client's building that they owned. We was like, what you mean you own it, right? Because we thought about owning residential.
Yeah.
But we was like you own your office? And it was at that moment I realized that we were building wealth, but for somebody else.
That's right. That's right.
And it was an office spot that we moved into. We was like, we'd be here about 2 years. 5 years later,
Yep.
we're still in there. And when we talked to our clients and we realized what they had done, like I said, it just opened up our mindset. And I said, you know what? Every single month for 5 years, we've been paying down somebody's mortgage.
You sure have. You're an investor. You are an investor. You just didn't get a return. That's right. Investors put out money in hopes of a return, and or they, you know, lose on the investment, right? Like that's just what it's just what it is. That's why I say everybody's an investor. You either losing or you making money. That's it. So if you paying their mortgage, you on the losing side. But now you on the bricks. So you on the investor side that yields a return, depreciation, tax vehicles, all the awesome things that come with owning this, right? Every time the lights cut on, praise God, you know, tax deduction, you know, so it's good.
I love it. All right, this is so good. I could go for like another hour because I got like another hour for questions. But if the people want to get more information about you, if they want to learn about buying income, right?
Yes.
Like how can they find you? How can they follow you online on social and get a hold of you?
Terrica Lynn Smith on all platforms. So Terrica Lynn Smith. And then if you want to sign up for anything we're doing, it's thepropertychallenge.com.
All right. So I'm encouraging y'all, make sure you get a hold of thepropertychallenge.com. I want you to dive in, right? And what's going to be important is for you to take action. Like she's shown her expertise. She dropped a lot of nuggets. But if you watch all of this, if you join the challenge and you don't actually move forward, you wasting time, right? You're an investor, like she said, but are you investing in the right things? All right, y'all, we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We drop new episodes every single week, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Enjoy the next episode.